Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to the class. I hope I'm audible and visible. Okay, here I am. All right. A very warm welcome to the class, guys. I hope everyone is doing well. And I'm sorry that we could not have a class in the morning because there was some technical issue. But here we are. We will be having a class now for sure. So, as I had explained to you in the last class, we discussed about we discussed about the Vedic civilization, how it began, the Aryan invasion, and all of that. And today we will be talking about the various aspects of the Vedic civilization. So we will start with society, we will talk about religion, we will talk about administration, we will talk about family, we will talk about clothing, we will talk about food, the economic condition, agriculture, crafts, all of these things. So we have a long way to go. We have a long list of things to cover today. So that's what we will be doing. And before I begin, I would request everyone to do subscribe to the channel and also like the video, share the video with your friends. And if you feel that, if you feel that you need something from extra from us, or if you need something more from us, you can definitely let us know in the comment section below. And also, guys, do join the Telegram channel. The link has been posted in the description box. लिंक जो है वो हमने डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में डाल रखा है. So you can definitely subscribe, and you can definitely join the Telegram group, because that is where you will get updates regarding the classes, and that is where you will get notes if there's any doubts or anything like that, that would be cleared. So चलिए बिना टाइम वेस्ट किए हम लोग फटाफट से स्टार्ट करते हैं, और आज हम डिस्कस करते हैं द एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ वैदिक सिविलाइजेशन. Just give me a second. Sorry, really sorry. Okay. So, all right. Now, the family was obviously the basic unit, okay? The basic unit of the Rig Vedic society. It was patriarchal in nature, means obviously the men were in control. Monogamy was the usual norm of marriage, but chiefs at times practiced polygamy. So monogamy was the usual norm, means monogamy was something which was practiced by the common people, uh, having one wife or one husband. But the chiefs, the people who were of the richer classes, they sometimes practiced polygamy. That is, they had more than one wives. Now, marriages took place after attaining maturity. After marriage, the wife went to her husband's house. The marriages only took place once the woman has attained maturity, so there was no child marriage as such. The family was a part of a larger group that was known as the clan. One or more clans together made a jana or a tribe, okay? And the jana was the largest social unit, okay? What was jana? Jana was the largest social unit. So, families made clans, clans together made jana, and jana was supposed to be the largest social unit. Now, all the members of a clan were related to each other. Now, every member of the clan would be related to each other by blood relation, means they were sharing a blood relation, and hence there would be no marriages between them. A membership on the tribe was based on birth and not on the residence based on certain areas. Thus the members of Bharat tribe were known as the Bharatas. It did not imply a territory as such. It basically implied the kind of tribe that you belonged to. The Rig Vedic society was simple. It was largely egalitarian. There was no division on the basis of birth. There was no division on the basis of caste. Members of the family could adopt, different occupations. They could have different occupations, and however, certain differences did exist. Now, there were certain differences, but that did not mean, okay, that did not mean that they would have what? That there was differences on the basis of caste, creed, norm, nothing like that. There was no difference at all. So any member of the society could have different occupations. So in one family you could have a brahman, you could have a vaishya, you could have a shudra also, depending on what they want to do. Okay, so let me know if you have any doubts here, and otherwise we'll continue. Okay, so I don't think there's any doubt, so हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's move ahead now. So there was, so as I told you, there was some kind of differences, isn't it? ऐसा नहीं था that it was completely an egalitarian society or that there would be no difference. There were some differences. So what differences are we talking about? Here, dasa word have been used in the sense, okay, of a group different from the Rig Vedic period. So here the word dasa has been used. Okay. Now who is a dasa? Dasa is basically a person who was actually referred to as being a slave. Okay. देखो, initially das basically meant a person who serves you. Okay. Person एक ऐसा इंसान जो आपको serve करता है. Fine. So dasa actually meant a person who serves you, who looks after you, who looks after your needs and stuff like that. Okay? So later this word came to be denoted for the slaves. Besides, certain practices during this period, such as larger concentration of war booty in the hands of the chiefs and priests, resulted in the creation of some inequalities within the tribe during the later part of the Vedic phase. So inequities had actually started from here, okay? It has actually started from here. And how did it start? So sometimes, what would happen when there would be, suppose there was a war and they have gotten a lot of war booty, or that they have gotten a lot of share of the war, the chiefs, the tribal chiefs and the priest would be keeping a larger share of it with themselves. Fine. And obviously impoverishing the lower ones, impoverishing the people who were below them. So this resulted in the creation of some kind of inequities. Now, the warrior, priest and ordinary people were the three sections of the Rig Vedic tribe. So what is the first section? We have the warrior, the priest and the ordinary people. Now the Shudra category did not come till the end of the Rig Vedic period. So it actually comes in the later Vedic period. Okay? This means that there was no division. There was division in the society, but it was not as sharp as we expect it to be, or as it was in the later Vedic period, where caste or your varna was the most important thing. So this is indicated by the following verse in Rig Veda. So in Rig Veda there's a verse which says, I am a poet, my father is a physician, my mother grinds grain upon stone, striving for wealth with varied plans, we follow our desires like cattle. So what are they saying here? What is he saying here? That I am a poet, I'm following a completely different profession. My father is a physician. My mother is basically into grinding grains on the stone. So we are striving for wealth, we're striving for prosperity, and we have different plans to achieve that. And just like cattle, we go anywhere we desire. Okay. The women also enjoyed a very respectable position in the society. They were married at a proper age, they could even choose their husbands, and they could also take part in the proceedings of the assemblies of Sabha and Samiti. So, and women could perform the yagyas together, and we have evidences of matrilineal societies as well. So, women were given a lot of respect, and their position was obviously much, much, much better. Okay, so let me know if you have doubts here. Okay. So there is no doubt. All right. Now let's talk about religion. So, what kind of religion do you think the people in Rig Veda was following, or the Vedic age they were following? The prayers to propitiate gods for physical protection and material gains were the main concern of Rig Vedic people. So, prayers were basically for what? For material gain, for wealth, and for physical protection. The Rig Vedic gods were generally personification of different natural forces such as rain, storm, sun, etc. So we have Surya Bhagwan hai, Indra Dev hai, we have Varun Dev. So they were basically personifications of natural forces of the nature. The attribute of these gods also reflect the tribal and patriarchal nature of the society, and we do not find many goddesses mentioned in the text. Okay, so what is happening here? The gods that we have here in the early Vedic age, it represents. We do not find a lot of women mentioned here. We do not find a lot of goddesses mentioned here, which is a clear-cut indicator that the society was actually patriarchal. So we have Indra, Agni, Varun, Mitra, Dyas, Pushan, Yam, Som, etc. All of them were male gods. In comparison, we have only few female goddesses such as Usha, Saraswati, Prithvi, etc. And they occupy a secondary position in the pantheon, obviously, because the society was a patriarchal one. Now, the functions of the god was different according to the society which accepted them. Thus, since the Rigvedic people were engaged in war uh, with each other, they worshipped Indra as a god. Okay? So, what is happening here? The Rigvedic people were engaged in war. So, if you remember in the last class only, I had told you that there were different tribes. Now, these tribes would be engaged in warfare with each other. Fine, and they would be engaged in wars, and hence Indra was the god that they worshipped. He has frequently been mentioned as a god in Rigved. All right, he is also known as the Purmandara, or the destroyer of forts. He is also mentioned to be the god of thunderbolt, and he was also the god who basically brought rains. Maruts, the god of Opstorm, aided Indra in the wars, in the way tribesmen aided their leader in the tribal war. So we have Marut, who is the god of storm. वो तूफान के भगवान हैं. तो वो basically he would assist Indra during warfares, just like the tribal people would assist their tribal leader in the wars. Agni was the fire god, and he was the god of home. and considered an intermediary between God and men. So, that is why we offer a lot of things to Agni. Whenever we perform any yagya or puja, whatever ahuti we have to give, जो स्वाहा करके देते हैं, we actually do it where? We actually do it in the Agni, right? Because it is believed ki with the smoke, Agni is basically going to carry everything to God. So he was considered as an intermediary between gods and men. Now, Som was associated with plants and herbs. Som was also a plant that was intoxicating, so it was a little alcoholic, and the juices were drank during the sacrifices. Okay. Then we have Varun. He is the keeper of the cosmic order, and he's also the god of wind. And the Rita was an important aspect of a tribal setup. So he was the keeper of the cosmic order. So he was basically responsible for keeping the universe in circle. Universe जो है वो अच्छे से function करता रहे. The universe continues to function as it is. Okay. So please let me know if you have any doubts here so that we can clear. Otherwise, we move ahead. Okay. चलिए तो हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's move ahead. Now, we have another god, Pushan. Pushan was the god of roads, herdsmen, and cattle. So he was the god of what? Roads, herdsmen, and cattle. In the life of pastoral nomads, obviously this god would have been very important because pastorals have nothing but they have their cattle, isn't it? Other gods were similarly associated with other aspects of life and nature. All these gods were invoked and they were basically revered to during yagnas or sacrifices. So they were prayed to, they were revered, they were propitiated during yagnas or sacrifices. These sacrifices were organized by the chief of the tribe and it was performed by the priest. So, who was organizing it? It was organized by the chief and was performed by the priest. God, thus invoked in the sacrifices, supposedly rewarded the sacrificers with success in wars, progeny, increase in cattle, and long life. So, these were some of the things that people asked for in return. They asked for wars, they asked for success in wars, they asked for progeny, which is children, they asked for increase in cattle, and they obviously asked for long life. Now, it also brought a large number of gifts in the form of dan and dakshina. So, whenever yagyas were performed, a lot of dan and dakshina were given to the priest. It is important to note that during the Vedic period, people did not construct temples and they did not worship any statue. So this kind of feature of building temples and statue worship, this is something which started much later in the Indian tradition. ये जो एक ऐसी चीज है जो बहुत बाद में शुरू हुई थी. ठीक है? So I hope this is clear with everyone. Let me know if you have any doubts. Okay, चलिए. So हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. There seems to be no doubts. So guys, and if you start watching the recordings and then you find that you have doubts, you can very well let me know in the comment section that you have certain doubts, and I'll definitely take it up. Now, let's talk about the administration. The tribal chief or the Rajan was the center of the administrative machinery. All right, what was he? He was the center of the administrative machinery of the Aryans. So who was the center? The Rajan. In the work of administration, the king was assisted by a number of functionaries such as the priest, the Senani, the Gramini, and the Spasa. Purohita was an important officer of the state. So Purohit is the priest and it is an important officer. He was an important officer of the state. The king did not maintain regular armies, but during the times of war, he mustered militias. Militias are basically those who fight for money, or basically those who fight for food or anything like that. The military element was strong in the tribal system of government. Now, this military element was strong in the tribal system of government because these have always been fighters. The army mainly consisted of Patti, which is the infantry, the Rathins, the chariot warriors. The weapons used by the soldiers included bows, arrows, swords, axes, and spear, and they were all made of iron, guys. ठीक है, ये सब जो है ये iron के बने हुए थे. The soldiers were organized into units. The soldiers would be organized into units, and they were known as Sharda, Vrat, and Gad. We do not come across any officer who was mentioned who was responsible for tax collection. So there was a very limited role for regular tax collection, as the economy was obviously pastoral. है ना? It was pastoral, means it was moving from one place to another place. They were living like nomads. So there was no possibility to collect revenue. Revenue is only be collected when you are living in a place, when you are living in one particular place. However, Bali, not Bali, voluntary offerings of the people was received by the chief. Now, Bali does not only mean sacrifice or killing someone or killing an animal or a human. No, it basically means voluntary sacrifice. So if you're doing voluntary sacrifice of anything, it will be called as Bali. Okay. So presents and spoils of war were distributed among the Vedic assemblies. So whatever they had earned during the war, whatever they have gained during the war, that would be distributed among the Vedic families. Now, there was no special officer of justice. So there was no special officer who was responsible for meting out or for giving people justice. But spies were employed at all the places so as to keep so as to keep what? So as to keep a check on the people कि वो लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, what are they doing, are they doing anything wrong, so like that. ठीक है? Please take a look at all the points. Let me know if you have any doubts. चलिए तो हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's move ahead because there seems to be no doubt. Okay. Let's talk about the popular assemblies. So in the last slide only I mentioned that women were basically part of these assemblies. So what were these popular assemblies? So we have two assemblies, Sabha and Samiti. So what were they responsible for? That's what we'll take a look at. Now, the Aryans had their own folk assembly, such as Vidhata, meant for economic, social and military purpose. So the kings enjoyed substantial power, yet he was not an autocrat. In the work of administration, he consulted two bodies and acted according to their decision. So the king, he was not an autocrat, guys. He did consult people. He did ask them that what should be done and what not should be done. So there were two assemblies who discussed the matter and who decided, and whose decision the king also sometimes abided by. So first of all, we have the Sabha. Now, it is a select body of elders. So, all the elders in the villages, people who have experience, will become part of the Sabha. And they're going to advise the king on the administration. Fine. It also functioned as the court of law and tried criminal cases. So, whenever someone had committed something wrong, they were responsible for trying that person. The head of the Sabha was known as the Sabhapati. So all these are points to remember, guys. यहाँ पे आपको बहुत सारी चीजें याद करने के लिए होंगी. You'll have to remember quite a few of them. So please do keep on revising and remember this. Now, Samiti. It is the most popular assembly and included the common people. The Samiti mainly dealt with political businesses of the state. It also used to elect the king. The head of this Samiti was known as Pati. So what is happening here? Samiti was very popular for the common people. So you can understand Samiti as being basically Lok Sabha. Okay? Because it dealt with the political matters and the matters of the state. Fine? And they were also the ones who were responsible for appointing the king. कि कौन अच्छा राजा बनेगा वो भी देखना इनका ही काम था, है ना? And the head of the Samiti was known as Pati. जो समिति के हेड थे उनका क्या नाम था? उनका नाम था पति. Let me know if you have any doubts here. जी मौसम में कभी गर्मी हो रही है कभी सर्दी हो रही है. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's move ahead. The family. The family, as I've already told, it was a patriarchal one. Fine. And it was regarded as the social and political unit. The main unit of the society was the family. The father or the head of the family, he was known as the Gahapati. Monogamy was generally practiced, with polygamy which was prevalent in the royal and the noble families and people who were coming from upper classes. We also have a few mentions of polyandry. What is polyandry? When women have more than one husband. ठीक है, जैसे द्रौपदी थी, Draupadi was practicing polyandry because she had more than one husband. There are also indications of matrilineal traces where the property is given from the mother to the son, like that. So matrilineal traces bhi hai hamare paas. So from the grandmother to the mother to the daughter. The wife took care of the household and she participated in all the major ceremonies. Women were given equal opportunities as men so that they could also, for their spiritual and intellectual development. There was no differentiation in the education that women could receive and the education that men could receive. Now, there were poets like Apala. So we have poets like Apala, Ghosh, Lompandra, Gargi. All of these are ones who basically have contributed something to Rig Veda. They have composed verses that are actually part of Rig Veda. So you can see how many beautiful and talented women do we have here. And women would also attend the pauses with their husbands. So I already told you that they could participate in yagyas and pujas with their husband. And widow remarriage was a practice of levirate or was present in the Rig Vedic society. मतलब widow remarriage एक ऐसा practice था जो कि Rig Vedic society में बहुत prevalent था. ठीक है? People who were part of the Rig Vedic society could get married. ठीक है? And especially women. So widow remarriage was very, very prevalent. So in the later years, widow remarriage had become a huge taboo, but at that point of time, widow remarriage was something which was considered good. It was allowed. Okay, let me know if you have doubts here, guys. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Let's discuss about the clothing. Now, the Aryans, they were making dresses from cotton. Sometimes they made dress out of wool and deer skin as well. So, whatever was available. Now, the garments consisted of three parts. An undergarment, which was known as the nivi. ये बहुत important है. I'm sure this can come as your MCQs. ये आपके MCQs में बिल्कुल आ सकता है, तो प्लीज़ इसको अच्छे से याद कीजिएगा. There was an undergarment which was called as nivi, all right, so here. Then there was a garment which was called as paridhan, and then there was a mantle known as adhivasha. Mantle is basically something that you wear on top of your clothes. Both men and women wore gold ornaments. The women used earrings, necklace, bangles, and anklets. The women would be wearing a lot of jewelry, but jewelry was basically worn by both men and women both. Now, food. Wheat, barley, and milk and its products like curd and ghee, vegetables and fruits were the chief articles of food. Fish, bread, gram, oats, bulls, horses were slaughtered for their food. So you can see what is being slaughtered here. You can see that bulls and horses were being slaughtered, right? There was abundance of these animals available, okay? Slaughter of cow was prohibited since it was considered as a sacred animal. So cow slaughter was not allowed because it was considered as a sacred animal. Because हम कहते हैं ना कि गाय हमारी माता है, and also because cow was was a treasure in the field of agriculture, है ना? So that is why it was considered as a sacred animal. People also drank intoxicating liquor, which was known as sura or the som ras, which was alcohol. Okay, let me know if you have any doubts here. These 2 points are important to remember. चलिए हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's talk about the economic conditions. Fine. The Aryans did not live in the cities, but obviously they had fortified mud settlements. Painted grey ware, it is a kind of pottery which has been found in Bhagwanpura and also in Punjab along with Harappan pottery. So Harappan sites to the hi the, and then we have found it painted grey ware as well. Let's talk about the agricultural practices. The Rigvedic Aryans were pastoral people, so obviously they kept moving from one place to another place. But when they permanently settled in North India, they began the practice of agriculture. So once they settled down in North India, that's when they started practicing agriculture. They plowed the land by the means of pair of oxen. Fine. They plowed the land. The plowed land was known as the Urvara or the Kshetra. With the knowledge and the use of iron, they were able to clean forests and bring more lands under cultivation. ठीक है. So what was the plowed lands known as? The plowed land was known as urvara or kshetra. Please remember this point. This is very important. This can definitely come in your MCQ. And then, because obviously they had the knowledge of iron, they were able to clean some of the parts of the forest and bring more and more lands under cultivation. However, a land did not form a well-established private property. At that point of time, there was no concept, or there was no concept of land being a private property. Okay? Now, the earliest literary reference to the use of iron in the Indian subcontinent comes from Yajur Ved. Besides the main crops of wheat, barley, cotton, oil seeds, and were also grown. So besides the main crop of wheat and barley, cotton, oil seeds were also grown. Again, very important point. This you can get in your exams. Now, cows were worshipped and they were symbols of wealth and prosperity. Sometimes cow was the medium of exchange also. So whenever there was a marriage fixed or any kind of puja or yagya was being performed, cow was donated. That was very important. कि गाय देना तो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. The wealth of the people was estimated in terms of their cattle. मतलब जितने ज़्यादा उनके पास cattle होंगे, the more they have cattle, the more it was considered that they were rich. The cow seems to be their most valuable possession, and the wars were fought for the stake of cows. So I'm sure you can understand that cows were very important, because obviously for their dairy products, and also because if you don't have cows, you will not have oxen or you will not have bull. So you need to protect the cows. So cows were very often, and wars were fought for the sake of cows. Then there were other animals like horses, draughts, goat, dog, sheep, buffalo, donkey. All of these animals were domesticated. Okay, let me know if you have any doubts here. Okay, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Let's talk about, now this is the last topic that we will talk about today, but this topic is not yet over, guys. There are certain aspects that we are still left to discuss, that I will discuss with you in the next class. Now, so crafts. Weaving was an important occupation. We already know, guys, that they knew cotton, isn't it? So weaving would be an important occupation. Carpentry was another important occupation, and there was an abundance of wood that was present in the form of forest, which could be cleared, and the profession was also very profitable and also required a lot of practice. Carpenters were the ones who produced chariots and plows. Workers in metal made variety of articles with bronze, iron, and copper. So those who worked in the metal industry, they made a variety of tools using bronze, copper, and iron. Spinning was another important activity that was mostly taken by the women, and it was done on cotton and woolen fabrics as well. तो स्पिनिंग द यार्न मतलब वो जो धागा आप पूरा बुनते हो उसको स्पिनिंग कहा जाता है, एंड दिस वाज डन ऑन cotton and also on woolen fabrics. Goldsmiths were there to make ornaments, and the potters were responsible for making various kinds of vessels for their domestic use. Okay, so I really hope that you guys have understood till here, and that there's no difficulty that you might have faced. If there's anything that you did not understand, you can let me know now, or you can just drop me a text. आप मुझे एक text drop करेंगे. Sorry, I'm used to saying that thing. Really very sorry. Or you can just drop me a comment in the comment section to let me know if you have any doubts, or if there's any part that you might not have understood. तो आप मुझे ज़रूर बताइएगा ताकि मैं आपको help कर सकूँ. And guys, before you all leave, do join our Telegram group. This is the scan code which has been given, and we've also given you this link. You can join the Telegram group because that is where you will get updates regarding the classes. That is where you will get notes. That is where you can ask your teachers your doubts. And if there's anything extra that you wish from them, you can definitely tell the teachers all about it. So this is the scan code and this is the link which you can use to join. And before you all go, do subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share the video with your friends, and also comment on it and let me know what you find nice, what you do not find nice, what you would want me to change, everything. And also do press the bell button so that you get notified every time we post a video. जब भी हम एक वीडियो पोस्ट करेंगे आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिलेगा. Also guys, as you are recently aware that our parent channel got hacked, and we have been trying to restore it. We've been trying to recover it, but unfortunately we could not. But don't worry, that does not mean that your studies are going to suffer, because we are back with a bang. We are back with a new channel. That is something you should subscribe to. आप लोग उसको सब्सक्राइब कीजिए ताकि you get all the updates, and our teachers, our educators, our back-end team are working day in and day out guys, so as to bring all of that content back to you, ताकि आपकी वो contents जो हैं वो दोबारा से कहीं ना चले जाएं. So they're working really hard to do that for you. So I really hope that everyone can appreciate the effort and everyone can subscribe to the channel. So don't worry, वो कहते हैं ना गिरते हैं शहसवार ही मैदान जंग में. So we have fallen once, but we will be back with a bang. So again, before you go, do subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much. This is Nicky Sinha, your history educator, signing off for today, but I will definitely see you all for tomorrow. Bye guys, good night, see you all, take care.